the only local radio talk show offering you the chance to ask your questions and express your opinions. From
Tell you what we're going to do, though, be introducing you to our guest in just a couple of moments. We're going to start with a break so we have a little more time to chat with our guest, who is Jim Barsha. And we will do all of that when we return here on WSGW.
It could be the best years of your...
Hi, we're back with you here on WSGW. And in studio with me is the Bay County Executive. We say good morning to Jim Barsha.
Good morning, Art, and it's always a privilege to be back on air with you.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you, as always. Yeah. So, what's new in Bay County these days?
Well, just a quick update. Our new health department will be opening on the first week. We'll have a grand opening the first week of June.
Wow, that's not far away.
Yeah, we were hoping to get it everything completed in May, but a lot of the county employees are getting acquainted with the new offices, and also we've got new furniture being delivered, as well as a number of files and other things being
the nitty-gritty.
Taken care of. Yeah. And then, of course, just a small update on the animal shelter. We expect an October grand opening, and it will be, as I mentioned, a state-of-the-art shelter and adoption, animal services and adoption center.
No pun intended, but that's one of your pet projects.
Well, it has. We found kind of a dismal situation back in 2016 with over 90% euthanasia rate, and we've maintained since 2017 about in 2018, 98% adopt rate or transfer rate or better. So that's going well, and people appreciate it. I want to thank, of course, Matt and Beaver and Liv and the entire staff, Liv Shields and the entire staff, and especially a veterinarian from Bay Valley Animal Hospital that donated her time. And last Saturday, we vaccinated about 600 and approximately 80 animals, dogs and cats that were vaccinated and microchipped if they so desired. And so we had quite a lineup of people coming through to get their pets vaccinated with the combo shots for rabies and the other shots that they get to keep them healthy, and all done at no charge. We have two individuals who like to remain anonymous who donate the cost annually. One is a memorial fund, but they cover the entire cost of the vaccinations, and we have volunteers, volunteer veterinarian to oversee everything, as well as staff doing the vaccinating. So it's a wonderful event, and every so often we also will. I want to give a shout out to Chewy, the pet food supply company that donated an entire freight truck of
really?
Yes, of dog and cat food, which was distributed I think a couple of months ago. I can't remember the date, but again, we had 500 or 600 families come out to pick up pet food for their pets, because with inflation raging and everything for groceries and everything, people are feeling the financial pressure these days. And so it's a welcome little assist to those families that enjoy their pets and want to keep them healthy.
I've got one little guy, and I know what it costs just to keep him going. So, yeah. And I was glad to hear Bay Valley Animal Hospital, because that's where we've been taking our pets for decades.
Yes, and I want to also mention that within the next 30 days or so, we'll be having a team that will be working with our shelter staff from Michigan State University School of Veterinary Medicine. And they will be assisting in sharing some of the latest techniques in terms of our animal care that's provided by the shelter staff. And also, one of the problems that I'd like to interact with them about and do some research. There are only so many options around the country to see what counties across the country have the most effective programs in dealing with feral cats That is always a challenge for an animal shelters because we have a lot of residents in Bay County and everywhere who, have a soft heart and they want to feed and feral cats. And if those females are not fixed or sterilized, spayed, what can happen is they can have 3 litters of up to 8 per litter annually. And so a colony of cats that might start out at 12 or 15 can quickly grow to 30 or 40, and they can, if they're not properly cared for, they can carry disease, transmit disease, and the life of a feral cat is much shorter than a pet, especially an indoor, outdoor, or totally indoor cat can live about 20 years. Feral cats on average live about 2 years before they get hit by a car or caught by a coyote or a dog, or they get an infectious disease or succumb to bitter cold temperatures in the winter. So what our animal shelter staff's been doing is trying to relocate these animals to businesses and farms, and the Farm Bureau's been wonderful in Bay County. Their members taking in feral cats for rodent control in their barns and their outbuildings, and so they can live out their life. They're vaccinated, and a lot of times the people that host the cats will put a little food and water out for them and help them out, and then in exchange they get rodent control. So we're looking at innovative ways in terms of trying to educate the public also about feral cat colonies, but also how best, what are the most advanced techniques in trying to deal with feral cat populations, because they are unadoptable. They're not social. When you approach them, they run. They're afraid of people. And generally how they're captured is they are caught in a cage with bait. And I know the Humane Society recently, they had been doing trap, neuter, release for many years, and they recently gave up that and have turned over their animal cages to our Bay County Animal Shelter, and we'll do what we can to shoulder that burden without their assistance.
Yeah, and it's a community-wide problem. It's not isolated.
No, and it is something that's common across the country. As long as you have wild cats, you can have feral cat populations. So.
Yep,
and those are much tougher to deal with than just providing the adoption on the pets.
So getting back to the shelter, you expect it to be open in
October? First week of October. By July, the exterior of the building will be finished, and from July to October will be mostly interior work. And I want to compliment Spence Brothers and their incredible team, their workforce has been out there. They worked right through the winter in those bitter cold temperatures. Had the heat. They did have some shelter with some, heat.
They know what they're doing.
But it is amazing that they could work through those bitter cold temperatures, and so far the structure is very impressive and looks beautiful. And once again, we're very grateful to the public in Bay County that voted overwhelmingly for a small millage for 6 years, a 0.7 millage, to fund the new shelter, and we're very grateful to the taxpayers who provided that means to accomplish this.
So let's continue on the money talk for a minute. What's the financial health of Bay County?
We're in good shape. We've seen a tremendous investment in the last 4 or 5 years with new companies, especially advanced manufacturing. Vantage Plastics, a massive investment, 325,000 square feet of what was a formerly empty building for 20 years. The old Dow Chemical Plastic Line Pipe Division out in Bangor Township. We have Merson in Bay City, which, again, a $100 million investment and a lot of new jobs there. Of course, SK Siltron is still going strong, and that was a massive investment. And I think the last time I was on the show, there are many other small businesses. As we know, small businesses are the backbone of the economy. And so we continue to see entrepreneurs opening new businesses across Bay County, and we're very grateful and welcoming to that happen. Of course, with our Bay Future, which is public-private nonprofit economic development agency. The prime sponsors are Bay City and Bay County, the two biggest investors, but I want to thank all of the corporate sponsors, too, for their effort at helping get the word out about across the state and throughout the Midwest that Bay County has a lot to offer.
You're open for business.
Yeah, and not just Bay County, but the region. If you look into Saginaw County, my gosh, across the county line, with the Corning investment, $1.5 billion and 1,500 jobs. Full-time jobs, along with the expansion of Hemlock Semiconductor. You know, people can reside in one county and cross the county and work and find employment. Dow Chemical also recently a major investment into our portion of Bay County where some of their buildings are located. So very grateful with the progress we're making on that front. And, of course, Art, you have always been rightly focused on mentioning affordable housing. And not subsidized housing, but affordable housing with a price point that a young couple starting a family or even middle-aged people who are both working and want the best quality of life that they can get to look at what we can do in terms of providing that affordable housing throughout Bay County so that as well as working there, they can also reside there. Because as we've discussed in the past, population is critical because state and federal revenue sharing as well as road funding is based on Public Act 51, determines population and miles of road in terms of distribution of the federal and state gasoline tax. And, of course, our school enrollments, $10,000 grant for every pupil. And if we have elementary schools closing or schools closing, that means custodial staff, cafeteria staff, teachers, and administrators either locate elsewhere or shift careers if there's not openings in the school district. So that remains a top priority. And I want to say that Jen Acosta, who's been a leader in this movement for Housing Forward, which is several counties involved in that effort, is the guest speaker at the Bay Area Chamber of Commerce Eye-Opener Breakfast this Friday.
And it looks like the Chamber and their Bay Futures, it looks like all that's going to follow the Midland mold of Midland Business Alliance. It looks like Bay is going to consolidate.
It's very
possible.
It looks like we're going in that direction. As you know, I'm on the board of directors, and yes, probably the Bay Future will become part of an alliance with the Bay Area Chamber of Commerce, and be housed in a new office building that they recently relocated to.
And you've got an excellent director, Megan Saman.
Yeah, Megan Saman has boundless energy and the enthusiasm of a 16-year-old. I don't know how she does it all, I'll tell you.
We got to take a break here. We'll be back with the Bay County Executive Jim Barsha after these notes.
Step inside your dream home.
All right, we're back with you here on WSGW, talking to Bay County Executive Jim Barsha. And you said before the break you wanted to talk about something. I forgot what it was now.
I was just going to mention we're excited about the kickoff of the golf season at the Bay County Golf Course.
Right. Yeah.
And, we're making with ARP money, as I will indicate to the listeners, the golf course gets no direct taxpayer subsidy, although with the federal ARP money, we had a little bit of that left over from work that was done at Civic Arena. And so we've allocated the remaining ARP money that we had that has to be spent by the end of the year to, along with some of the capital fund when we dug a huge pit that is now a pond to irrigate the golf course and sell the clay to Fisher Contracting that used it to basically apply to the site at Carnwedock as they were decommissioning that plant.
All right, golfers, hold on to your clubs because he's about to tell you what they're doing there.
Yeah, we're going to get, I think we have 9 sand bunkers, or what we used to call sand traps, which I'm very familiar with when I
spent a lot of time in them.
My feeble efforts at golfing. But that's a 6-figure sum, and the work should be starting in a couple of weeks. And I know our golfers have mentioned it to me several times, and we're glad that finally this year we can get that done, as well as addressing a little bit of the issue when we get a heavy rain. We have a little flooding on a couple of the holes, and that's being addressed as well. And so we look forward to, again, having a robust season with our leagues and special charitable events and regular golfers to come out and sustain the golf course to have another great season and another in excess of 30,000 rounds played at our Bay County Golf Course.
Pretty well is self-sustaining. It doesn't get any operational tax dollars.
No, it does not. The only money that has been spent out there has been the money that is generated by the revenue, by the fees that our golfers pay. So we appreciate their loyal support, and we continue to strive to have the course be in the best shape that it can be.
And it is a nice course. I mean, it's a very nice course.
Yeah, it's we get a lot of compliments about it. We've come a long way on that front as well in the last 7 years.
And you mentioned ARPA dollars. Are they all gone now? Have you accounted for all
yes,
your ARPA
pretty
money?
much. They have to be all. Whatever isn't spent by the end of the year must be returned to the federal government. So I'm pleased that we invested ours well. $9 million of our $20 million went to our new health department, as you know. And I will mention too, we're so proud of the health department and looking forward to the public coming out to see it on the grand opening in first week of June. But we do want to mention that Bill Woolwine, who was the CEO, president of Serenus Johnson, a 110-year-old excellent company contractor in Bay County that has left an indelible impact across the state and also in the Tri-County or Great Lakes Bay region, did pass away unexpectedly, and he was only 60 years old, and he was so excited with the progress and working on our project. And I just talked to him just a couple of weeks before he passed, and it was totally unexpected. And I did go out to the funeral home for the visitation in Millington out in Tuscola County, and you had to park 3 blocks away. Yeah. It was just the funeral home was just full of people waiting to get in to pay the respects to Bill and to his family.
And Serenus Johnson has been a huge supporter of the rescue ministries of Mid-Michigan, including Good Samaritan in Bay City, of course.
Yes.
And they've been one of their primary contributors for many years now.
And very active in the Rotary Club in Bay City, Bill was, and so many, as you mentioned, not just the rescue ministries, but and through the Chamber of Commerce and through Bay Future, contributing in so many ways. We're going to miss Bill, but he does have family members that hopefully will be able to carry that legacy forward.
Another person who is retiring. She's tried. They keep extending her until the end of June now. Dana Muscat.
Yeah.
And you've had a relationship with the city a good relationship for a long time.
We have. I worked with many of the mayors and commissioners my entire career, And
Dana, of course, steps aside. They're in the process of looking for a new city manager. So you got to reset when a new one comes in.
Yes. That information is not shared, but I understand through the grapevine that they're winnowing down the list of applicants to a list of semifinalists or finalists, and I'm not sure exactly what the process is because they keep that close to their vest.
And
but
they had an outside
hopefully
firm.
They'll make the best decision to get someone that can, address some of the, the infrastructure issues that the city faces, and both in terms of street improvements and of course, the ongoing
don't mention
mess with the tolls.
I was going to say, don't mention it.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, that situation, which the county has, and everybody should understand this, the county has zero responsibility for the bridges and literally zero responsibility for the roads. You don't own any roads or any bridges.
We don't own a road or a bridge, and we get no federal or state gasoline tax, which is the revenue under Public Act 51 that distributes to county road commissions. Even though it has Bay County in their name, there are no county employees in the Bay County Road Commission. They get a revenue stream of somewhere around $30 million a year, plus federal and state grants for small township bridges or something like that over at Dredgecott. But then also the cities get 1/3. MDOT keeps 1/3 for the state highway system. County road commissions work with townships on, and they have they fund primary roads throughout the county, and then also work with townships to do township roads. And so it is something that I continually try to share with people, that we did not have a role in that decision. I had spoken several times before the city commission, pleading with them not to make a premature decision. They were convinced that the Independence Bridge would collapse. I indicated to them that no, it was inspected. All bridges are inspected annually by MDOT, and their bridges were in the category of fair to poor, the same as 70% of Michigan's bridges. However, Bridge Partners said they build a new $85 million span and spend $25 million tearing down Independence and renovating Liberty. And within a couple of weeks of the contract being signed, they indicated, guess what, folks? Yeah. Good news. We don't have to. We'll just have to renovate. Yeah. So, saving themselves about $110 million in the process.
It's going to be interesting in a couple of ways. Lafayette Bridge is now under construction, and it has thrown the bulk of the traffic onto Veterans Bridge. When Lafayette reopens, the big question out there is they're going to have to rebuild Vets Bridge because of all the use it's had during this construction period.
Yeah, so we have been weighing in with MDOT, Art, that we want it renovated and not replaced. I mean, because, yes, all of us that you cross the Veterans Bridge in these huge trucks are, sometimes they have difficulty even making the turn onto the bridge. And the weight, I think the traffic count MDOT shared when they went from about 35,000 vehicles per day to in excess of 80,000 vehicles per day.
And you know that that's going to increase when Bay City residents no longer have free toll on the bridges.
Yes.
They're going to go someplace. Yes, but again, it's out of the county's hands. Nothing you have to deal with, but you got to deal with the consternation of your constituents.
Yes, and the traffic patterns have been redirected, and Euclid Avenue is very congested, and we have a high accident rate there, and a fair number of road rage incidents as well, with people struggling with the increased traffic congestion.
More greater enforcement. All right, we'll take a quick break, come back. We're chatting with Jim Barsha. He is the Bay County Executive.
The time has come to ask Attorney...
Hi, we're back with you here on the Art Lewis Show. In studio with me, Bay County Executive Jim Barsha. I'm going to take you out of that office just for a minute, Jim. And just so the audience understands, I've known Jim Barsha for, 4 decades. Long time. And we were just talking about the political climate in America today, all this gerrymandering and redistricting and everything. And you were a victim of it, actually, back in the day when you were in Congress.
Yes, I was very disappointed to see that new map, and the Republican Party had controlled the Michigan Supreme Court, the Michigan House, Michigan Senate, and the governor's office. And I think I don't think it was directed toward me per se.
It was getting an R in the seat.
Candace Miller. Well, it was helping Candace Miller get a Republican seat based in Macomb County. So I lost Sand Lake, Huron, Tuscola, and Lapeer to Candace Miller, and then they brought down Bart Stupak from all the way from Hubbard Lake, which was in my district to the north, up in Alcona County, all the way down to the Meyer store on Wilder Road, 1.5 miles from my home. So I lost 2/3 of my home county, Bay County. So I decided to seek my old state Senate seat back again, and I was grateful. I think some of my colleagues were in the state Senate were a little sympathetic to what had happened to me, because I did win with 77% of the vote in 2000, and my district was shattered, and I lost about 75-80% of the population for the next election cycle. And but they did make me the chair of a standing committee, and I'm very grateful for that. I had a gavel and a majority budget, majority staff, And I was grateful for that. And, whatever level you're serving at today, it's still it's an honor to do the best you can to try to enhance your community and your state.
With all that's going on, and with all of the, nipping at each other all the time, is it still a noble profession?
We sure hope so. There are members that get into trouble, and they're kind of the outliers. Hopefully, that sometimes people think all politicians are unethical or have issues, moral issues or whatever. But the ones that are maybe should not have been elevated to public office, hurt the reputation of all public servants. So,
your predecessor in Congress, the late Bob Traxler, once told me the art of being a congressman and the art of getting things done are 3 Ds: debate, deliberate, and decide. And we are so far away from that today.
Yes, and I admired Bob from the time I met him, I think when I was in the 6th grade, and my family knew Bob, and I used to, I think his campaign was the first one. I actually went out and campaigned with the candidate. Remember the phrase "Bingo Bob Traxler"? We would, Bob would shake hands, and I would pass out these 5-cent combs to all the people leaving the bingo halls. Technically, the bingos were illegal, but law enforcement didn't want to crack down on them because they were usually veterans posts or churches and other charitable organizations. And so Bob was one of his major accomplishments in the Michigan legislature, of which there were many at the federal and state level. He was able to legalize bingos across the state, and for many years he was known as Bingo Bob Traxler. He was very proud of that. So.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But he was a great member of Congress and inspiration to younger generations, as I mentioned, to the media on his passing.
You're also of a genre which apparently doesn't exist very much in the halls of Congress anymore. Yeah, you're a Democrat, but you're pro-life, you're pro-Second Amendment, things that traditionally are thought of on the other side of the aisle. So, you're about as moderate as somebody can find.
And I supported tax cuts.
And you support tax cuts.
Bush tax cuts.
I mean, so we're, we seem to have lost that.
Well, it does seem now that since the Supreme Court unleashed the Citizens United decision, that now corporations are investing heavily. I don't think I ever spent in a congressional race more than $300,000, and now it's fairly standard for a congressional race to take $7 to $10 million on each side, and so I think that's bad because you get flooded with direct mail and with television advertising that sometimes is not truthful, and people are confused, and some people have told me, Jim, if I believed half of what's said about both candidates, I wouldn't want to vote for either.
Yeah, exactly. And then robocalls. But I asked the late Veronica Horn this question because she was involved in politics for a long time, both sides.
Yes, and worked for me for 10 years running the Saginaw office.
And I said, Veronica, why all these robocalls? And her answer was telling. She said, well, first of all, it's the cheapest way to get the message out. And if we make 100,000 calls and we get a 3% response, that's 3,000 votes. That could change an election.
It could, in a tight race, that could make the difference.
Okay, I understand. It's all about votes. I mean, it's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. It just is disheartening today. I mean, every time you turn around, it's politicians nipping at politicians.
Yeah, we need to turn down the volume a bit and be more respectful and
that's
realize
on both sides.
Yeah,
both sides.
Absolutely. It's and social media hasn't helped because the algorithms reinforce the sometimes extreme positions, and they do so to get more clicks and more listeners, and ultimately, if they advertise, more profits.
So has social media changed the way you had to govern? Has it changed the way you have to be a county executive?
Well, we
Other than
find
answering more questions.
we do find ourselves having to explain things that are promoted on social media, such as land patents. Land patents were an instrument passed in 1836 by Congress to help settle the West. And back then, you could patent a piece of federal property to graze your cattle and put a ranch house on it and live on it. However, once you purchased it, then you had to pay taxes on it, and you were regulated by the government. However, we have some in the social media and the podcast sphere that claim that if you pay $30 and get a land patent, you can never be taxed, you cannot be regulated, you cannot be foreclosed.
All the experts in social media.
Supreme Court has ruled 3 times on it, and it's something that persists and people believe, and so
It's interesting. Something we
it
never
makes
hear
our
about.
county treasurer's jobs a lot harder, I'll tell you.
I'll bet it does. Well, Jim, as always, it's always great to chat with you and see you, and we'll do it again soon.
Thanks so much, Art, for not only having me on as a guest, but the tremendous job you do in disseminating important information to the Great Lakes Bay region and the vast audience that follows each and every one of your broadcasts, our programs.
Yeah, sometimes I worry about that.
Well, thanks again.
Thanks, my friend. Jim Barsha, Bay County Executive. We thank him for spending time with us as he does regularly. And we'll take a break, come back, tell you what's happening.
Reel in the rewards with Huck
For the Art Lewis Show for today. And we'll be back with Focus Open Phones on.
Broadcasting from the